There's a place in the United States called New Mexico, otherwise known as the Land of Enchantment, perhaps one of the most beautiful and fascinating states in the American Southwest. For our Tiramisu for Two tour, we were invited by the Italian festivals of New Mexico to Albuquerque, where we had a wonderful screening and got to visit many sites of historical importance for the Italian community. Our hosts, Maria and Bob Berry, also took us to Escalo, a tasty Italian restaurant, where we met other folks from their nonprofit, including John Paulino and his wife, Kathy, who are both very passionate about Italy.
I think we just have a love of Italy and we want to promote the Italian culture. There's so many people that are Italian that kind of just let it slide and don't think about going back to their roots and finding out, where the family came from.
John's family story is a fascinating one. In the early 1900s, his grandfather Ubaldo Paulino moved to the US, where he started a nice family with 6 boys, including John's father. And so many years later, in the quest for his family's Italian heritage, John and his wife would set in motion an incredible sequence of events.
In 1980, we decided we were going to go to Europe, and so I thought, well, while we're there, let's see if we can find my family. I just figured there were relatives over there somehow, but I didn't know what relative position it would be.
John and Kathy started their journey by looking at different documents that Ubaldo Paulino had left behind a century before. And this is where things took an unexpected turn.
I got this document, and what I did was I just looked at where my grandfather was from. So the province of Ascoli Piceno, the residence of Roqueta, and the post office Aqua Santa. We found out after a little bit of conversation was Roqueta had been deserted 20 years ago because they ran out of water. So when we realized that this Roqueta had been deserted for all these years, we went to the next smallest town, which was Aqua Santa. And of course, in Italy, you go into the local bar. We told them what we were looking for and who we were looking for. And they said, well, I believe this lady knows a Giovanni Paolini.
So John definitely had family in that town. In fact, Grandpa Ubaldo had a first wife and a daughter named Alessandrina that had gone to the US but returned to Italy, staying in touch with him secretly throughout the years.
Giovanni came down and we didn't know him, he didn't know us. And we kind of told him our name and he told us his name. He said, well, get in the car, let's go to the house and have dinner. Let's go eat.
After we had eaten, he told his daughter, who did speak some English, she was in high school, studied a little English, and he said, take them for a walk and show them the town. We went for a walk, and when we came back, he says, well, I found out that this is Renato is your cousin, and Alessandrina is still alive, and she lives in Ascoli Piceno, and so
and Giovanni Paolini, who had picked us up, actually ended up being a cousin. We still wondered because, our name in the United States was Paolino, and over there it was Paolini, and so I thought, well, are we sure that this is all fitting together? We were having dinner and we're talking about the different people. I had brought pictures from New Mexico, and so I just pulled them out of my bag and I laid them down on the table. And one of them was a wedding of one of my uncles.
Aspetta.
He
left the room.
And he comes in and he lays these pictures down to match these 3. And it was.
He had the exact same
emotional.
pictures.
The next day, John's cousin arranged a meeting with his newfound aunt, Alessandrina, a sister to John's father that none of the 6 brothers knew existed.
It's like just tears started coming down her face. And you know how Italian women are and how Italians are, but it's like she just kept stroking my face and she kept saying that I looked like Ubaldo, which was her father. I think she was maybe 4 or 5 years old when they went back to Italy. And then, like I say, my grandfather stayed in the United States, and so she never saw him again.
John told us that one of the most profound moments came a couple of years after that episode, when he took his father to Italy to finally meet his sister.
Again, every day she's crying and telling me, how happy she is. And she said, I've always dreamt that one day I would at least get to meet one of my brothers, because she knew she had 6 brothers and she had never met them. Had we kept putting it off, it would have never happened. But we went in '82, they both met each other, and then they passed away 3 years later.
And this is how John and Kathy got to close an important family loop, all because John's desire of exploring his Italian heritage. He was able to validate the great connection he always knew in his heart that he had with his dear Grandpa Valdo's birthplace.